Welcome back. You're watching News Centre. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Paris later this week as the guest of honour at the Bastille Day parade. The visit is expected to strengthen the strategic partnership between the two nations. Large defence contracts, trade cooperation and bilateral ties are the possible themes of this visit. Let me now go across to Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, the Director General of the National Maritime Foundation. Mr. Chauhan, thank you. Admiral Chauhan, thank you so much for joining us. We're hearing of 2 or 3 key defence deals likely to be signed. The first is the acquisition of 26 Rafale marine aircraft for the Indian Navy. Now, these, we believe, have been cleared by the Defence Procurement Board. The next step would be to go to the Defence Acquisition Council. How important will these be for the Indian Navy? This has been a long pending demand.
Well, on a scale of 0 to 10, there'll be 11. So they're that important. It is critical for the Indian Navy's aircraft carrier to be properly equipped. And I think that, as you rightly say, this hunt for the correct aircraft has been on for quite a long time. And I'm particularly pleased to see that we are getting a state-of-the-art aircraft, one that is some commonality between us and the Indian Air Force, thereby providing at least some degree of a commonality of approach in terms of maintenance as well as in terms of operating philosophies. Of course, there are differences, but the similarities also do exist. So, yeah, it's critical.
Right. So you're saying that it will be critical to see this deal going through. The other important deal on Scorpeme submarines. These will be manufactured by Mazagon Dock Limited. How do you think these set of submarines that will be manufactured in future will be different from the ones previously manufactured at Mazagon Dock Limited?
Well, first of all, as you are aware, these particular follow-on 3 will be already AIP equipped, that is air independent propulsion equipped. And the air independent propulsion units have been made indigenously and will be fitted on board the 3 submarines, thereby enhancing the submarines' underwater endurance, which is a huge factor because without an air-independent propulsion mechanism or very advanced new forms of lithium-ion batteries, a submarine, a diesel-electric submarine, has to surface every few days in order to recharge her batteries. And during the period of her submarine's surfacing, whether she doesn't actually surface, she puts out a snorkel, one of these tubes, but anything that you penetrate the surface with from underwater makes your submarine indiscreet and therefore more liable and susceptible to detection. So the facts of the new Scorpeme's AIP is crucial. Perhaps even more crucial is the fact that, it is imperative that submarine building skills, which have taken us almost a decade to rediscover after the original HDW-209 class of submarines were abandoned in terms of build, and then the skill sets that are required to actually make the yard productive over time, keep its efficiency high, build efficiencies, in fact, and then all of this will be a huge shot in the arm for not only the Navy, but for the nation as a whole.
Admiral Chauhan, what does this mean for our defence PSUs, especially Mazagon Dock Limited? We saw the Mazagon Dock Limited coming into focus during the Prime Minister's visit to the United States as well, where the US Navy signed an agreement with MDL for the possible repairing of Navy ships, US Navy ships in future. What will this mean for our defence PSUs?
Well, first of all, we must appreciate the fact that Mazagon Docks has been the primus inter pares, the first amongst equal of our PSUs. It is the lead submarine building dock, and consequently, as I said, first and foremost, specifically for Mazagon Docks, it will enable Mazagon Docks to retain the skill sets that it has so carefully nurtured since the Scorpene program began. And continued production of any major platform is critical, particularly if it is a submarine. I had the recent privilege of going across to TKM in Germany, in Kiel, and I can assure you that they too are always worrying about how do you keep the production line going. But what about other PSUs other than Mazagon Docks? You will appreciate that the production of an indigenous construction of such a major platform as a diesel electric submarine doesn't involve just the yard. It involves a whole host of ancillary industries that provide equipment, that provide systems, that innovate, and that once a submarine line or a ship line is in progress, all of this Atmanirbhar Bharat and the startup, the numbers of unicorns that will emerge out of these sheer opportunities that are on offer will be a shot in the arm for everybody. What about yards which have not got the Scorpene order, the PSUs? They too will be able to now harness their skill sets, their capabilities towards the very large number of surface platforms that are also being built towards developing the kind of Navy that India requires. So I think it's a win-win situation across the board,
Right.
not just for Mazagon Docks as a PSU, which is clearly the case, but also for other PSUs and for a host, as I said, of Indian industries, ranging from the very small startup to the established players, both in the private as well as the public spaces, thereby generating public-private partnerships as well. So I can't find a single flaw in this whole process. Parikshit?
Right. My final question, very quickly, Admiral Chauhan, if you can explain to us, how will this visit of the Prime Minister enhance the India-France defense and strategic partnership? When it comes to the Indian Navy, yes, we've had a long-standing partnership with France, but how is it likely to get a boost during this visit of the Prime Minister?
Well, if the two deals that we are discussing actually do go through, and every indication is that they will, then I think France will be catapulted in its position as the lead naval supplier of platforms. But you must appreciate that what we're not looking at is we're not looking simply at a buyer-seller relationship with anybody, least of all France. What we're trying to ensure this time around is that there is genuine not transfer of technology, but genuine joint development of technology. In other words, if you were to ask me from the Prime Minister's visit, what will be the single largest takeaway for India? It will be the investment of high-quality, high-end personnel from both sides who will jointly be able to develop the technologies that are inherent in any large platform, and once you have both a submarine at one end and you have fighter jets at the other end, then you are looking at an enormous engagement process between France and India. And France has been one of our most reliable defense partners. And I want to reiterate the fact that if all that we're going to be doing is buying and selling, then I think these relationships are nonsensical. If, on the other hand, what is going to happen, and I believe that this is what is going to happen, is that there is a joint development of technology. The differentials between the base technologies of India and France might well be large, but India has needles of excellence which have won Nobel Prizes. And France has got needles of excellence that have won Nobel Prizes. When we combine these needles of excellence, then what happens is that we are in a position to leapfrog technologies, not simply play catch up with one or another of the existing powers, but actually develop disruptive technologies in the underwater domain, in the aviation domain. And that is the strength that this particular deal will bring. And I'm 100% confident that our Prime Minister will indeed be able to bring home the bacon, as they say. And I have very little doubt that the French-India partnership will grow from strength to the benefit of both countries pretty much equally.
Admiral Chauhan, We've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. So you would want us to move beyond a buyer-seller relationship to a deeper technological partnership. Thanks once again for those sharp views here on CNBC TV 18. Moving on to all the market action now.